Hi everyone, this is your January numerology overview for all the personal year numbers. I call them pins, as well as what January represents that we're all going to be working with, everybody globally inside of our beautiful world. If you like what's going on here, hit that subscribe button. Between numerology and music, and I also want to start doing mantras. Oh, wow. I just have to keep myself going with these things that I'm passionate about. So you guys, welcome. And two things that are going to happen in this video is the overview for January. The number is 1. I'm going to have a really quick conversation about that. And each personal year, what the tool is in your toolbox that you are going to want to utilize and access to get the biggest bang for your buck with your goals and your career, what's going on in your relationships and all that kind of stuff. Numerology is incredibly helpful with life, period. This thing called life, career, relationships, personal aims and goals, where you live, how you're living it, all that kind of stuff. So January is a 1 energy, and the 1 energy is connected to creativity, taking raw energy and making something out of nothing. And it's uniquely individualized to you. So when you think about this across the board in your life, and things that are already routine, right? They're predictable. You know what's going to happen. Every single day, for the most part, we know what our work is. We know what our relationship status is. We know where we're at with these different projects that we have on our table. And we also have aims and goals that aren't here yet, but we want to have them be here. The 1 energy of January, right out of the gate, I've had conversations with many of my clients about this, is that things have just taken off rapidly. There isn't really a lag time. There isn't any downtime. Usually it's an easy flow into January, and yet it's just taken off like a rocket ship. And there have been opportunities. There's been things that have been just dropping in out of the blue, and yet not so shocking or surprising. New opportunities for this, a shakeup for that. New is coming in. So utilize this energy. Be creative. Think out of the box. Dare to be quirky, and to not have people understand you. Because there is something that you know that you want to make happen. And also, you guys, listen, that requires self-confidence, doesn't it? The 1 energy is always backed by audaciously self-confident energy. And so grab some of that and put it to use. Get out there and make things happen. Don't shy away from picking up the phone or making that meeting or saying yes to going to events. Say yes, just in a 1 energy you want to go. And it helps a ton with that, because the entire planet is dealing with a 1 energy in a 9 global year, which I find remarkable. I have just uploaded a video, by the way, of the 9 global year energy. It's about 25 minutes long. So go have a listen to that. But this is an opportunity for us to take the surge of the 9 coupled with the 1, of trimming the things around us that need to go. At some point they lasted, they were valuable to us, right? And we know it's time, they've outlasted their usefulness. It's time to trim the tree and go. And that can be in any sector. When you have a 9-1 coupling, it's a great opportunity to launch something new. But first, make way for it, make room for it, okay? So then just get your self-confidence going. your self-esteem, your self-value. Get that going. Without that, this is lackluster. It will be a lackluster month for you. You really have to get in there and believe in yourself, and dare greatly, and get up and go and do. So there's that. Now I'm going to move to the one personal year. You guys have a 1-1-2 coupling. So you're one personal year, you're in a 1 month, and the tool you have in your satchel, 1 + 1, is 2. What this tells me is get really good at listening carefully, and pay attention, and to communicate effectively. We all know when somebody is listening to us and when they're not, when they're paying attention to us and when they're distracted, right? So remind yourself every day that what you're going to do is you're going to show up and pay attention and do your very best to lean into conversations and the listening component to the conversation. And then I want you to be very thoughtful with your response and the words that you're using. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, the 2 energy is the great diplomat, where there is brokering of 2 different opinions, 2 different desires and requests. And so finding that middle ground, which is building a stable foundation for the good of all, is you know, where you're bogeying. That's your bogey and your target. What is also a part of this 2 frequency is that you know when it is time for you to say, I've given enough. I am now going to retreat and give to myself. So that's where boundaries come in. And note that how I said it was very easy and very light and not a big deal, right? So know when to give, and know when you're right on that edge of overgiving, and then step back, because that's well, you know, the non-emancipated version of a 2 is overgiving and then retreating and locking themselves away and to not be found. And that just means that you've lost that line for that boundary. If you implement the 2 energy as you move through this 1 frequency in your 1 personal year, talk about just right out of the gate, you guys, and you're front loading that creative spark with a ton of chutzpah and a ton of self-esteem, self-value, self-assuredness. You really believe in yourself, knowing that other people are going to catch up to you at some point. You guys are really going to do great. Clear communication, clear listening skills, all right? You're going to do great if you just grab that 1 directive, which is, I've just honed these down to, listen, people can usually only grab onto 1 thing and remember it and try to implement it. This is what you need. And I promise you, I promise you that things will turn out really, really well for you, okay? 2 frequency. Note that I just talked about the 2, right? And this is how this is gonna go. This is how you guys learn. 2 frequency is the art of negotiation and figuring out how to be really effective in dialogue and in listening between 2 people. It's 1-to-1 communication. And so your bogey for this entire year is getting better at, getting more adept, more effective, more professional, more at 1-to-1 communication, effectively communicating. So what you guys have in your satchel for getting across the sprint run it is the number 3. And 3, my 2s, is all about dropping into your feeling center and letting yourself feel the feels, letting yourself fall into, you know, something, it's massive, emotional intelligence. and then speaking that. So that would look like, if I just dumb that down, that would look like, putting it into layman's term, trusting your intuition and having it be on a really, really high level where you're not blaming anyone, you're not shaming anyone, you don't feel guilt. There's none of the panic that because you can experience deep panic when you fall into your deep well of intuitive awareness, because it can be overwhelming, honestly. And if you've never done it before, and this is the first time you've ever heard anybody say anything like this to you, then it could be, a shock that you just don't want to trust it, because it's, the things behind what's being, it's like all of a sudden the veil of people thinking that you can't, the intent behind anybody's actions, and oftentimes they're not congruent. But that doesn't mean that it's malicious, right? Oftentimes it's not. It's just how we are wired in communication with each other. Is there are certain things that are appropriate to say and certain things that are not. And so we've learned how to adapt to language, yes. So yada, yada, yada. How do you do this? You drop into your intuitive feeling center. You're gonna feel all the feels, and it's its own language. And then you find a way to express it, to speak it. A lot of artists are 3 energies. Without the arts, which is deeply loaded with passions and betrayals, and it's the yummy stuff of our storytelling, right? Where would we be without that as the juice of life? Deep emotion. The way that you're going to access and utilize this is to be able to read a room and then to speak that wisdom without blame, shame, guilt, any of that stuff. And you will be surprised at what the result of your efforts is going to be. So let yourself fall into your heart center, which is rooted in unconditional love and kindness and compassion. A well of creativity sits inside of your heart chakra and the feels in that feeling center. Tap into it. Try your best to speak it. If you get overwhelmed, go to the bathroom and reset yourself for a minute, couple of deep breaths, and try to think about, how would I say this out loud? If it's in a board meeting room, you're really gonna have to think about, the words that you would say because of the intuitive hit that you're getting. Trust yourself enough to say it. If it's an intimate relationship, then trust yourself enough to say it. I'm just going to say this over and over again, though. Don't get overwhelmed with I'm going to say this a different way. Don't shove it down. Because when we shove it down, that's when we start to go into being nitpicky and bickering with people and not trusting people. And because we're so overwhelmed with the feels and really being psychic, sixth sense stuff, that we can go into some antiquated behaviors that it's not going to serve you, and it's just fear. And fear is the absence of wisdom. You guys heard me say this so many times. So 2s, while you're doing the art of diplomacy and listening really well and knowing where your boundaries are, you also have this energy. And this is your target, your bogey for the end of, all the way through January. Next month is going to be, it's not that. So don't worry about it. Next month, you're going to go to a 4, and that's much more stable and structured. Let's go to the 3s. 3s, you guys have a 4. Are you catching this? And 3s are moving through a 1 frequency. Oh, thank goodness. and how they're going to be able to pull off the month itself and the opportunity itself and birthing creativity is actually putting it down into tangible form. And that looks like building. This is the number of structure and orders and systems. And so you want to get in there and you literally want to put it down, start to build, put in the work. It's action, it's doing, it's having a routine and a schedule and creating it so it's a tangible thing. All right? Great, nice and easy. The 3 frequency, I just talked about it, all the feels. Well, if you are creating something due to this deep well of emotional intelligence, and it's, I don't know, it's a program that you're going to teach, or it is a book that you're writing, or it's a piece of art that you're creating, a dance that you're performing, you're creating, a Broadway show. I don't know. It's anywhere in creative expression. Just get it down, you guys, and you'll be happy that you did it. Next month, you're moving into a 5. Not about building at all. So let's move to the 4. 4 frequency in January, you are dealing with a 5 tool. And that 5 tool for the 4 personal years is about making sure, well, it's, the definition of 5 is freedom. How do you get freedom? You have a ton of discipline to support the infrastructure so that you can go out there in the world and you can be free and you can have new experiences. 5 doesn't follow a routine. 5 shakes up the routine and it moves it fast. It looks like trips, it looks like new opportunities, it looks like a new job, it looks like going in a brand new direction. Everything about this is new. And because you're in a 4 frequency, you're in a 4 personal year, which is building. What I'm gonna say that are there things that are happening in your business, could be in personal relationship as well, that need this new something, this new opportunity, and it will serve it in the long run. So if it's personal relationship, go have that new experience. It's shaking up the routine. However, make sure that you really have a solid financial base or community base to support it that is in place, that you've nurtured. You're building that anyways through the 4 year, which is, there's a lot of this is like, make sure let's get your finances and all your assets in place. Let's make sure you've got a solid base. 4 is about that. Part of the 4 is about that. So take the opportunity to say yes, get out there and, break some new ground. And if there's offers that come your way, entertain them. Don't shut them down immediately. Open up to change. Life would be incredibly dull and boring if everything was the same all the time, right? Some stability points are great, but then when we get stuck in a rut, we know it. So use this energy and say yes. Say yes. 5 energy. 5 personal year, guys. 5s have this whole year to kick through and of everything I just talked about. The tool that they have while they're moving through January is a 6 frequency. And 6 is the number of the visionary, where you, I know, can see the trajectory of the ultimate outcome. However, inside of that trajectory also is the ability to have a ton of patience, knowing that mistakes will be made, right? It's having that space and allowing things to kind of organically move, and not to hold on too tightly to details, because the details will take care of themselves. They might be a little loosey-goosey, but at the end of the day, they're going to take care of themselves. Keep your sights on whatever the long-term vision is, and do some work in writing down. You put it on paper, commit to it. If you can see this, I don't know if it's a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, a 10-year goal. If you can see the bogey that you're going for, do something with it. Commit it to it on paper. Talk to your team about it. Talk to whoever might be involved in it, and see what's there. Another part of the 6 frequency is taking care of community. That looks like people who are going to need your time, sometimes your resources, and make sure that you are giving back to your community in that way, whether it's family or family of origin, family of choice. Just make sure that you are available and giving back, and then teaching others to do for themselves. It's a community-centric month for you, and 6 is that number is community-centric. All right. 6 personal years. The frequency that you have, I'm in a 6 personal year right now, is the 7 frequency. Now the 7, mysticism. Alrighty. And it is deeply connected to the mental field, the ability to think. The trick with the 7 is to connect it up with your heart chakra and your intuitive guidance. Because without the heart, you just have a really pretty mind that is spitting out statistics, right? And if you don't babysit this 7 frequency, which I know this energy well, it's part of my life path number, you can just fall into analysis paralysis, and also can dip into an isolatory space, which that's not what the 7 is supposed to be doing. So what I would suggest for all of us who are in a 6 personal year with this 7 frequency is to balance out through routine what you're spending this fabulous intellectual energy on, and is it nurturing to you? And I just back to the heart chakra. When the 7 is able to connect up with unconditional loving presence, and that they are safe, the wisdom that they share with others is astounding. And so there's an opportunity for all of us to teach, and an opportunity for us to all of a sudden put things together that we have been working on for a long time, because this frequency helps us. Excuse me, guys, I need some water. Yes, I've gotten the crud just with everybody else, right? This frequency helps us in having really pretty mental processing. So use it. I'm getting up every morning to meditate, really way too early in the morning, and then I immediately flip into working on I'm working on mantras right now, because that's what I'm known for. It's what I do. One of the things I do. All right. Anything to help us stay present and not let our brains go nuts balls when that's not necessary for that to happen. So sixes, that's your tool that you've got to get through January. Next month, you're going to go into an 8. So it's totally different. Sevens, lovelies. Everything I just said about you, you totally get, right? This is a year of figuring out a deeper relationship with you as a spiritual being, having a human experience, and what is the depth and the breadth and the reason for your life. It's a beautiful year to go through, and you'll find yourself more often than not thinking quietly about these things to yourself. That sounds like Jetson is back. He was outside playing for a while. And so what you have inside of this one creative energy is commerce, honestly. It's 8. And what does that look like? That looks like it looks like business and personal success and prosperity and the art form of giving. Giving goes both ways, giving and receiving. So sharing of abundance, receiving of abundance, whether it is monetary or if it's relational or community based, right? And to fall into your executive self, put on your executive hat pretty much anywhere that you're going as you're thinking about your own success and prosperity and building something, building it in a way that is, success for the good of all, as well as also noting when to give, where to give, and also receiving, open to receiving from others. It's a beautiful month for the 7s. Next month, you're going into a 9, and so we'll be having a different conversation. So just enjoy this rush and this run and be that really cool 8 energy that that is front-loading community and giving, and also is garnering their own success and prosperity, probably along with, a large group of people in your company or your family. Yeah. All right. And now we go to the 8. The 8 personal year, the tool you have for January is a 9 energy. The 9 energy, all you kind of have to do is go back and listen to the overview recording for the global year of 2025. This frequency is a culmination of 1 through 8. This is a trimming of the tree. It's not cutting down the tree, it's a trimming of the tree. What stays, what goes. And what has outlasted its usefulness. And then at some point it was useful, it's not anymore. And it needs to be, there needs to be a pivot in some way, correct? Relationships as well, usually in an 8 personal year, in the first month here, you're really noting where the base of relationships are functioning from. And if it's not healthy, if it is in blame and shame and guilt and victim mentality, and you just back and forth, it's not a fun game of tennis, pivot, do something to help it, or make a decision in relationships, in your career, with what's going on with business, what's going on with yourself too. What are you focused on, right? Because this is the business year. And it's a biggie. It's a big year. The 8, 9, 1 personal global years, that we want to take advantage of this 3-year surge, because this is where we can generate the biggest amount of change in how we're making our livings, and what we're doing inside of all of that, and where's our happiness quotient, what's our bogey and our goal and all this stuff. So clean things up, and also nurture what does not need to be cleaned up, that you feel really, really good about. But this could even look like boxes around your house. Just give away what is no longer useful, right? Clean things up. It's trimming the tree so the tree can continue to grow. 9 personal year, you guys are in wait a minute, I'm thinking, right. So anytime for the 9 personal year, you're gonna have a doubling up. You're in a 1 frequency in January, and then 9 plus 1 is 10. So the tool you have at your disposal is another 1, backed by 0, which is the intuitive gifts. And that means this is a doubling up of creativity and self-confidence and self-assuredness to create something out of nothing. It's a doubling, it's like 100% energy for you that you have. And I would use it, celebrate that, go. That means that your own unique creativity, backed by the intuitive gifts, which it looks like physical strength even, and you're able to read a room. You are overly, in a beautiful way, intuitive and sensitive, and you just have this natural knack of knowing what is going to happen or what's coming next or what's the best right thing to do. Take this and run with it. Be confident in, I know this needs to happen, and so I'm gonna go make it happen. And if nobody is there to support you, do it anyway. Everybody that I talk to here, you are doing the best that you have with what you've got, right? Your intent is good. What you're loading is unconditional loving presence for the good of all, including yourself. You are people who, for the most part, you are functioning from your beautiful heart center, and you have a view that people matter, everybody matters. Unconditionally loving in your presence, right? So go. Take advantage of this and run with it and go. Keep yourself on a routine and a schedule, and front load this creative idea that you have in business, in your personal relationships, with personal aims and goals, and go for it. Next month, you'll be negotiating what that it is. If you don't get it down, you won't be negotiating, right? Okay, so you guys, that's it for January's directives for all personal years. If you would like a reading with me, I am over at 12Listen most days. I do a lot of chats with my clients about their do's and don'ts directives for their numerology and their personal year cycles. The written directives are over at 12listen.com. It's a link that's right here on my YouTube homepage. And you guys, until next month, and give me updates, questions, comments, whatever, add them here. I'm sending you guys a bunch of love, and I wish you the best of luck with this final surge through January. All right, guys, hugs.